Good morning. I hope you are all fine. I missed you all. Are we ready for today's lesson? Great! Today we will take chapter 7 in the story. Okay, so quickly, can you tell me what was the last thing that happened in chapter 6? Very good! Dorothy killed the Wicked Witch of the West. Do you remember how she killed her? Super! She threw a bucket of water on her. Perfect! Now let's start reading chapter 7 and see what will happen next. The title of chapter 7 is A Return to the Wizard. The Wicked Witch of the West was now dead, and Dorothy was able to tell the Winkies that they were free. Remember the Winkies? They are the witch's slaves. Next, the lion who was with Dorothy said, "I wish Scarecrow and Tin Woodman were with us." "So do I," Dorothy said. "They are locked up somewhere in the castle. We must find them and rescue them." Rescue means save. Remember what happened to them in the last chapter? Perfect. The Tin Woodman was full of bends. He couldn't move. And the Scarecrow was out of the straw. Very good. Let's see what will happen next. She asked the Winkies to help her, and they soon found the Tin Woodman. Sadly, he could not move. His body was full of dents. Now, I want you to highlight this part. Sadly, he could not move. His body was full of dents. What's the meaning of the word dents? It's a piece of metal when it's full of bends. It's bent. Like, for example, if you get a can of Pepsi and you squeeze it hard, you squish it hard, it becomes full of dents. It has dents in it. Okay? So he couldn't move because his body was full of dents. Now let's see what will happen next. "Are you tinsmiths?" Dorothy asked the Winkies. Several of them put their hands up. Now, what's the meaning of the word tinsmiths here? Tinsmiths are people who fix the tin. So the tinsmiths are people who fix the tin. Very good. Excellent. So Dorothy was asking the Winkies, "Are any of you tinsmiths? Can any one of you fix the Tin Woodman?" Let's see what will happen. So several of them put up their hands. So some of them put up their hands. "Yes, we are tinsmiths." So she said, "Excellent." Dorothy said, "I'm sure you can straighten out the dents in Tin Woodman and get his arms and legs moving again." The Winky tinsmiths set to work banging and polishing. So they began to fix him. Soon, the Tin Woodman was able to stand up and move about again. So he was fixed thanks to the tinsmiths. Excellent. Next. "Now we must find Scarecrow," Dorothy said. "He was not in the castle, so they searched outside. At last, they found him. He was caught in the branches of a tree." So let's highlight this part. He was not in the castle, so they searched outside. At last, they found him. He was caught in the branches of a tree. So he was between the tree branches. He was between the tree. Excellent. Branches. Very good. Let's see what will happen. "It's too tall for us to climb," the Winkies said. "Don't worry," the Tin Woodman said. "I'll chop," means I'll cut the tree down with my axe. Let's underline this part. The Tin Woodman said, "I'll chop the tree down with my axe." So the Tin Woodman had an idea that he will cut the branches or the tree with his axe. Okay, let's see what will happen. And this is what he did. The tree fell with a crash. Boom! and the Scarecrow's clothes fell out of the branches. Dorothy took them back to the castle where there was plenty of clean straw and quickly filled the clothes with it. So she got out the clothes that were stuck in the branches and she went back to the castle and she found a lot of clean straw, and she started to fill in the clothes with it. The Scarecrow was whole again, so he was alive again. Now that we are all together again, Dorothy said, we must go back to the Wizard of Oz and make him keep his promise. Remember in the previous chapter, the Wizard of Oz said, I will only help you if you kill the Wicked Witch of the West. And now she is dead. So they will go back to the Wizard of Oz to keep his promise. Oh, good, exclaimed the Tin Woodman. I shall get a heart. And I shall get some brains, said the Scarecrow. Now let's turn to the next page. Okay. Next. And I shall get some courage, said the Lion. And I will know the way home to Kansas, said Dorothy. Before you set off for the city of Emeralds and the palace of the great Oz, the leader of the Winkies said, we want you to have some presents. So the leader of the Winkies gave them presents. They gave Dorothy and her friends all kinds of beautiful things. Dorothy got a golden cap. Do you remember this golden cap from the previous chapter? Yes, the one that was with the witch. Very good. She put it on and it fitted her perfectly. So it was the right size. Then they left the castle. Soon, however, they were completely lost. They were lost. I don't know which way to go, Dorothy said. And it's getting very late. Let's rest for a little while. She took off the golden cap. As she did so, she saw some writing inside it. She found writing inside the golden cap. I wonder what this is, she said. And she read it aloud, standing on her left foot as she did so. Ip-pee, pip-pee, ka-kee. Remember, this was the spell. Yes. Then she stood on her right foot and read slowly, hello, hello, hello. Then she stood on both feet and shouted, ziz-zee-zaz-zee-zee. Remember this spell? Excellent. It's for the winged monkeys. Very good. Yes. Immediately, the winged monkeys arrived. What can we do for you? The king of the monkeys asked. Show us the way to the city of Emeralds, Dorothy said. We have to talk to the great Oz. We can do better than that, the king of the monkeys said. We can take you there. So when she said the spell, the winged monkeys came, and Dorothy asked them to show her the way, to show her the way to the great Oz. So the winged monkeys said, the king of the winged monkeys said, we are going to take you there. That's even better. Now let's turn to the next page. The winged monkeys picked up Dorothy and her friends and carried them to the gate of the city of Emeralds. The guardian of the gates met them as before. Remember the guardian of the gates? Yes. Back again, he exclaimed in surprise. Didn't the Wicked Witch of the West kill you? So Dorothy said, does it look like it? Dorothy said, if you must know, I threw a bucket of water on her and she melted. Then I will take you to see the great Oz. Come this way, he said. So the guardian was surprised to see Dorothy and her friends back again. So Dorothy told him, no, don't be surprised. We killed the wicked witch of the west and we threw a bucket of water on her. So he said, okay, then I will show you the way. I will take you to the Great Oz. Next, let's see what will happen. He took them to the room full of spectacles. Remember the spectacles? Excellent. Yes, the glasses, as before. And they all had to put on a pair. They had to put on a pair because the city was so bright. Yes. Then he sent a message to the Great Oz that Dorothy and her friends wished to see him. So he sent a message to the Great Oz that Dorothy and her friends came and wanted to see him. Let's see what will happen next. They thought that he would see them immediately. So they thought that once he knows that they are here, he is going to tell them, yes, please come in. But he did not. He kept them waiting and waiting and waiting. So is it a nice thing to keep a person waiting? No. Very good. Let's continue. At last, the Scarecrow said to the guardian of the gates, this is not good enough. Dorothy kept her promise to the Great Oz. She killed the Wicked Witch of the West. Now, he must keep his promise to us. Tell him that if he does not, we shall ask the winged monkeys to do something about it. So he was threatening him. He was telling him, if you don't let us inside, we are going to tell the winged monkeys. Do you think the Wizard of Oz is going to be afraid? Maybe. Let's see what will happen. The guardian of the gates gave the Great Oz this message. He was so frightened that he sent for Dorothy and her friend without more delay. He didn't keep them waiting anymore. To their surprise, they did not see a huge head on a chair. Instead, they saw a very small, ordinary man. So he was normal and he was very small. Let's see what will happen. Who are you? Dorothy demanded. We want to see the wizard. The small man coughed and said, yes, well, you see, the thing is, that is to say, well, I'm the wizard. You? Exclaimed Dorothy. It's a long story, the little man said. Sit down and I'll tell it to you. So let's underline this part. It's a long story, the little man said. Sit down and I'll tell it to you. So Dorothy was shocked to see the Wizard of Oz, just a normal person. And he was small, a small man. So let's see what's this story. Dorothy and her friends sat down and the little man began his story. I come from Omaha. Omaha is a state in United States of America, like Kansas, for example, or New York. Okay, so I come from Omaha, he said. That's not far from Kansas, as you know, Dorothy. I can't do magic, but I can make all kinds of animals and bird noises and make them sound as if they are coming from another place. So he said he's just a man that comes from Omaha. He comes from Omaha and he can't do magic. All he can do is to make the sound of the animals and the birds. And he can make them sound as if they're coming from another place. So he can talk without opening his mouth. So she said, you're a ventriloquist, Dorothy said. Ventriloquist is a person who can talk without opening his mouth. You know, like for example, if you watch America's Got Talent, there are people who are ventriloquists. They sit down with a doll and they act as if the doll or the puppet is talking, and their mouths are closed. They don't open their mouth. They talk from their stomach. Exactly. So I was able to make monsters and pretend means act, that they were alive and could speak. This way everyone here thinks I'm a powerful wizard who can take on the shape of any animal or monster. So was he a real wizard? No, very good. He was not. He was a ventriloquist. And we said a ventriloquist is a person who can talk without opening his mouth. Excellent, very good. Now let's continue and see. How did you get here? Dorothy asked him. I fell out of a balloon, Oz said. Let's turn to the next page. Okay. I fell out of a balloon, Oz said. Everyone here thought I was a wizard and obeyed me. My only problem was the wicked witches. I knew that they would see that I was fake. Fake means not real. So he only had one problem, which was the wicked witches. He knows that they would know that he is not a real wizard. And that is why you asked me to kill the wicked witch of the West? Dorothy said. Yes. And that means that you don't have magic powers? I'm afraid so, Oz said. That means you can't give me a heart, the Tin Woodman said. Or me some brains, the Scarecrow said. Or me some courage, the Lion said. And I suppose you don't know the way home to Kansas, or even Omaha, Dorothy said. I think you are a very bad man. Now please highlight this part. Dorothy said, I think you are a very bad man. So this means he cannot do any magic and he can't help any one of them. So Dorothy said, I think you are a very bad man. And this is how chapter 7 ends. Okay, let's start answering the questions. Okay, so now try to answer the questions by yourself, and after that, check the answers on the eSchool. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.